Hey guys, my name's Scott, and today I'm going to be reading to you The Quite Contrary Man. It's one of my favorite books because he has a beard just like mine. Let's go. The Quite Contrary Man, a true American tale. Back in the days of your great-great-great-grandparents, very near to the New England village where Johnny Appleseed was born, there lived a quite contrary man. His name was Joseph Palmer, and he'd grown up stubborn since the cradle. Neighbors knew him as the kind of youngster who'd pour gravy on popcorn or vinegar on pancakes and declare they tasted better that way. His mom fretted. What would become of her pig-headed son? By the time he'd grown up and started a family of his own, people called Joseph Palmer the most contrary, headstrong fellow in all New England. Straight-laced folks tried to look and act like each other in those days, which meant looking plain and acting proper. Women pulled their hair back into tightly twisted top knots. Men shaved their faces bare. No one dared to stand out from their neighbors except Joseph Palmer. He dared to grow a beard. Not just any wispy, wimpy beard. Joseph Palmer's mighty beard broke all boundaries. It flowed from his chin to his belly and from elbow to elbow. If Joseph Palmer faced the wind, his whopping whiskers swept over his shoulders and flapped down in his hip pockets. His neighbors were shocked. See that beard? That's a nice beard. Beard Palmer, as many called him, turned heads on the streets. Wherever he walked, people ran ahead to gaze back at his bushy face. The townspeople shouted, "Un-American!" Policemen had to clear the gawkers and shouters off the sidewalk so that Beard Palmer and his family could pass. His old mother worried. What would become of her pig-headed son? Joseph Palmer's children, Thomas and Nancy, loved their father just as he was. It wasn't only the beard that made him special, he had so many clever ways of doing things. Once he taught Thomas how to lure a runaway calf out of the herb garden, not by chasing him, but by sticking out a thumb for the calf to suck. With the calf latched onto his fist, Thomas could walk out of the gate and tug it shut with his free hand. And every Saturday night, after Thomas and Nancy's chores, their papa sliced up dark and light corn cobs for a homemade game of checkers. It was just as well they had so much fun on Saturday nights, because every Sunday morning the Palmer family headed for church, where Thomas and Nancy, their mother, and their grandmother got ready for another tiresome lecture about the beard. That beard's a disgrace. It's a sin, the churchgoers cried. The preacher scolded Beard Palmer from the pulpit. Why do you go around looking like the devil? You must shave and cut your hair. No, I will not, said Beard Palmer. He knew every one of the 203 Bible verses about beards by heart. He often recited them to Reverend Trask. He always ended by saying, "This beard belongs to me and it's mine. Mine on my face. It's right here alone to cut or grow it." Early one weekday morning, when the sun was just winking over nearby Bald Hill, Beard Palmer left his farm and walked on foot to the market with a basket full of cucumbers. Suddenly, tall shadows fell across his path. 4 neighbors blocked his way, brandishing barber shears, a water basin, soap for lather, and a razor. "We're going to give you a shave or else," they shouted. Beard Palmer punched, kicked, and bit. He overturned the water basin, broke the shears, and flung the razor in the grass. The attackers ran off without cutting a single hair. Beard Palmer's arms and legs ached from the fight, but he collected his spilled cucumbers and walked on to town. The 4 men got there first. They went straight to the court and blamed Beard Palmer for attacking them. The judge called Beard Palmer before the bench and fined him $10. That was far more money than Beard Palmer earned on a year's cucumber crop. He refused to pay the fine, so the judge sent Beard Palmer to jail for a whole year. His family was stunned. The jailer told Beard Palmer his rule. Prisoners must shave every week. Of course, Beard Palmer refused. Whenever he saw the jailer come with a bowl of soapy water and a razor, he threw himself on his bunk and kicked like fury. Beard Palmer's old mother despaired. What would become of her pig-headed son? She begged him to shave. Jail time might go easier. No, dear mother, I will not, he said. Beard Palmer's wife told her mother-in-law, even though he's stubborn, I know he's right, and he should be free to keep his beard. His family visited him every day. Thomas carried his papa's suppers to jail in a wooden bucket. Beard Palmer gave him letters to carry out under the crumpled napkins. The letters were to the editor of the local newspaper. They told him how badly prisoners were treated in jail. We have no blankets, Beard Palmer wrote, and we are beset with mice and fleas. Thomas always delivered the letters. When one of them was printed, many newspaper readers took Beard Palmer's side. The jailer was furious. He moved Beard Palmer to the cellar of the prison to punish him for complaining in print. Thomas, oh Thomas, Beard Palmer cried out when he spied his son's boots outside the cellar window. Thomas crouched and brushed away the snowdrift so he could see his papa way down in the underground room. Papa, it's so dank and dark down there. Will they let me bring you candles? How can you stand it so? Beard Palmer shushed his son's worries. Thomas, I want you to tie a stone to a string. Hold fast to your end and drop the stone through the window bar so I can catch it. Thomas obeyed as fast as he could, and when he pulled the string up again, he found tied to it still another letter. Oh no, Thomas almost moaned out loud. Hasn't his papa made enough trouble? Would the jailer even send papa home again? I need you to take the letter to the High Sheriff, Beard Palmer shouted up. I shall soon be out of this dungeon and back in the sunlight. Thomas ran off with the letter. The High Sheriff frowned as he read it. Then he folded the page and said, I think it's not right to punish your father so harshly, shutting him up alone in the dark for 3 months. I'll see he's returned upstairs to his old cell. Thank you, sir, said Thomas, relieved that his father's many letters had finally made something good happen. On Beard Palmer's last day in jail, his family dressed in their best and went to the town sheriff office to wait. The jailer brought Beard Palmer out of his cell and then in front of his family handed him a bill for the dry biscuits and water he'd eaten and all the coal he'd used for heat. Beard Palmer was outraged. I refuse to pay, he shouted. Then he held tight to the bars and refused to leave the jail. The town sheriff told Beard Palmer to borrow the money to pay his bill, but Beard Palmer again refused. He hunkered down in his chair and sat tight. What shall we do with this contrary man? The jailer and the sheriff asked each other. They'd never had a prisoner who refused to go when his time was up. Sadly, the Palmer family said goodbye to Beard Palmer again and trudged back to their rented room next to the jailhouse. His old mother wept. What would become of her pig-headed son? He was stubborn, but she missed him. They all did. That night, Thomas and Nancy carried their blankets to the window and kept watch over the jailhouse. They were too disappointed to sleep. As the moon rose full, they saw the jailer and the sheriff walking in circles in the road, muttering to each other. Their dinners were growing cold, and they wanted to go home. A half hour later, the two men marched back into the jail. Minutes later, they carried Beard Palmer's chair outside with Beard Palmer still in it, like a king on a throne. They left him in the open roadway and headed home for supper. The next morning, the chair was empty. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this book, A Quite Contrary Man. It just goes to show that sometimes you have to stand up for what you believe in, even if some people don't think it's right. I'll catch you guys next time. Thanks.